Alright, in this video I will be showing you how to make a paracord bracelet. Let's go through the material lists. What we're going to need is some scissors, a lighter, obviously some paracord, and a tape measure. Alright, first off, before we start, we obviously have to measure our wrist. I already measured mine. Mine's about 7 inches, but let's just make sure. 7 inches, but we don't want it too tight because we don't want it cutting off our circulation, so I'll make it about an 8. Now before we measure anything or cut anything, we have to make our core, and before we make our core, this knot right here, because this is going to be our core, this knot takes up about 5 to 6 inches, so we have to make sure we measure enough before we cut it. So, like we said earlier, my wrist is about 8 inches, so we're going to take our paracord. We're going to measure it 8 inches. And then we're going to double that because our core is going to be folded in half. But since we have that knot, we're going to add another 5 to 6 inches. So 16 plus 5 or 6 is 21 or 22. So we're just going to cut it at 21. So we cut it, and this will be our core. Now just fold it in half, like so, and then we're just going to do a simple knot. Wrap it around your finger, or however you like to do it, and then just wrap it like that. Try to get it as close as you can to the end, obviously, to save some string. Pull it tight. There we go, we have our knot. This should fit smoothly around our wrist. So since this is an 8-inch bracelet, we're going to need 8 feet of paracord. Every inch is about a foot of paracord. But obviously, since 8 inches is from tip to tip, this isn't going to be wrapped and this is going to be wrapped, so we'll just call it 7 feet of paracord. So obviously we're going to have to measure our paracord. I'm going to measure it 7 feet. Obviously this is 60 inches, so that's 5 feet. Doesn't have to be exact. If you have more, that's actually better, because you don't want to run out of paracord halfway. So 7 feet. Whoops, that would have been 6. Right about in here. After we cut our 7 feet of paracord, we can start weaving. Now at first this is going to seem pretty difficult because it took me forever to learn how to do it, but you'll get the hang of it. I learned a couple tricks. Now if you don't have a jig of some sort, it might be a little tricky at first, but it's still manageable. However, I have a jig. Now this is pretty easy to make. It's out of a cedar fence post. It's about $2, so it's not that expensive to make at all. How it works, you just obviously put it on like that, and there is a slit, as you can see right here in the board. that allows this to move up and down. So what that does is that makes it nice and tight so you can wrap without having to hold it. It's pretty simple to make. Just a couple cuts. Maybe I can make a video later on how to make it, but I think there's already some on YouTube that are pretty self-explanatory. So let's take our 7 feet of paracord. We're just going to fold it in half like we did with the core. So a long piece of paracord. We're going to take the halfway point, which is right here. I already measured it out. And then we're going to start weaving. Now we're going to put the halfway, and we're going to leave a little space right here for the knot that we tied to close the bracelet. So you're going to take halfway and put it underneath the bracelet, and we're going to start with our first knot. Okay, so how to do this? And there's a method I like to do to this. I make a C, pretty simple. Then after that, I do what I call it, the over, the under, and the through. So you're going to go over, under everything, and then pull it through the C. And just pull them both. That's our first knot. So what we're going to do now is do the same thing, but to the other side. So make a C. Take this one, do the over. Sorry about that. Over, under everything, and through. As you can see, it's starting to look like a paracord bracelet. Then switch sides again. Make a C, over, and I'll make it a little bit smaller. A C, over, under everything, and then pull it through the C. One more. Over, under, through. Pull. I'm going to cut the video and I'll finish the rest. This is also a good time to point out that let's say you have to take a text message or a phone call or whatever, and you forget what side you left off on making the C. It's pretty simple to remember which side. It's whichever side this last loop or knot is on, the little ring I guess you'd call it. So as you can see, let me get a pen or something. There's a knot right there, a ring, 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 and ring. The last ring is on this side, so that's the side you're going to make the C on. As you can see, we've gotten to the end. It's starting to look like a actual bracelet. So to get to the end, you just obviously keep tying your knots until you have no more space. Then this is where the lighter comes into handy. What you're going to do, I'm just going to take these last two strands, make sure they're nice and tight, because you don't want your bracelet unraveling. And then you're just going to cut, I like to cut these nice and close. That's where you take your lighter and you just light it down. You don't want to burn it. You'll just start seeing it shrink. There you go, you have one of the sides done. So then you just do the same thing to the other side. Just cut it nice and close. And you light this one too. I like to get it in the blue part of the fire just because that's the hottest, so you don't really have to worry about burning it too much because it'll get it hot really fast. I don't know if you can tell, but this one with the blue fire, or the blue part of the fire, just left it nice and glazed as opposed to that part which I accidentally burnt with the orange or the red part of the flame. So there's your bracelet, but we need to do something about these, so we're also just going to cut those as close as we can. Sometimes you'll get this little stubborn piece of paracord. And then you're just going to take your lighter, and also do the same thing. It's nice and quick because you don't want your colorful paracord bracelet to look black, to get all burnt. And you can just bend it, and there's your paracord bracelet.